info.
Okay.
Well, good evening. As folks are filing into our Zoom room, I'd like to welcome you to the Georgia Probe Georgia Virtual College Fair. Tonight's panel is all about paying for college. So if you do have questions during the session, please use the Q&A button that you can find at the bottom of your screen to type your questions to the presenter at any time. As this is a webinar, your camera and your microphone are off. So our panelists can't see you or hear you, so the only way to ask those questions is to type them in that Q&A box. On Wednesday and Thursday, the Georgia Probe will also be hosting college-specific sessions. So please go back to the website where you registered for this session, which it should have been GAprobe/students. And you can see all of the options you have to visit with the colleges. Please do sign up. Our colleges are excited to talk with you. And if you want to go back and review this session afterwards, there will be a recording available within a few days on that Georgia Probe website. Same thing with the sessions later this week. Those will all be recorded as well. So at this point, I would like to welcome Hal Wilkinson, our presenter, and now it's his show. So Hal, take it away.
I need to get access to my website because I still got yours. Okay. Thank you. So welcome everybody. My name is Hal Wilkinson. I'm with the Georgia Student Finance Commission. Hold on just one second.
I was going to say, I'm not seeing your screen yet.
Okay. Let me see what's going on. Just one second. Okay. Okay.
All good.
Thank you. Well, thank y'all for bearing with me. My name is Hal Wilkinson. I work for the Georgia Student Finance Commission. And I'm your K-12 outreach staff. I'm one of 9 who cover the state of Georgia. And we're going to talk about finding money to pay for your education. Everybody can use money, can't we? And thank you for your patience. So here we go. Financial Aid 101. Let's talk money. Today's agenda will define financial aid, types of aid, federal programs, Georgia's financial aid programs, the application process for FAFSA, and the financial aid package. So financial aid helps pay for educational expenses. Well, we know that. It's divided into direct costs and indirect costs. The direct costs are related mainly to the institution. Your indirect, the student has more control over. When you combine them, it adds up to the cost of attendance for the academic year. So how are you going to pay for all this? Let's discuss types of financial aid. Financial aid comes in different forms. Again, scholarships, grants and loans, work study programs from different resources, federal and state government, colleges and universities, private foundations, and so forth. Types of financial aid. We have the merit-based Hope Scholarship, which is based on academics. We have need-based, which is based on the FAFSA, the Pell Grant, family finance. Non-need-based, which this applies, a Hope Grant applies to state technical colleges, student and parent loans, employment opportunities like federal work study, military aid and grants, savings plans like the Path to College 529 plan. Let's first discuss scholarships. When you think of scholarships, you think of high school GPAs and SAT or ACT scores, but not all scholarships are just based on that. Look in the mirror, what's unique about you? We have scholarships based on height, ethnicity. If you're a male 6'2" or a female 5'10", you're a senior in high school going to college, 19 to 21, check out TCI, Tall Club International. There are 50 chapters across the United States. There's not one in Georgia, but check the nearest state by you. You might have to write an essay. It's $1,000 for being tall. Ethnicity, the Coca-Cola Foundation Scholarship has an October 31st deadline. Religious affiliation, it may be a church-related college, check your house of worship and so forth. And then my all-time favorite, for those with a creative flair, make that prom dress or tux or suit out of duct tape, senior. And check this out, at least 14 years of age, if you start this, if you get asked to the prom, let's say 9th through 10th grade, every year you practice, make your prom dress or tux out of duct tape, submit a picture during, before, after the prom to the duct tape brand company. Y'all may win $5,000 a piece. We had a couple in Cartersville that won this. He went to Emory, got Zell Miller, he got $5,000. His date went to Chattahoochee Tech, got the Hope Grant, she got $5,000 on top of that. Now, what if you're average Joe? I'm not tall, I'm not short. Get you a job. These companies are doing what Chick-fil-A has been doing for years. In Georgia, you have a Quick Trip and a racetrack just about on every corner. I went to Quick Trip to get gas, ran into a student who worked there during the summer from the University of Georgia. He says, 20, 25 hours a week, maintain a certain GPA, they're going to give me $2,000 per semester. I said, if that's the case, what will racetrack give me? I went down to racetrack and they said, after 500 hours of employment, they provide tuition assistance. These other companies I've come across are just a few that do the same thing. So when you're looking for a job, not only look for the paycheck, but also see if they have extra incentive like tuition assistance. Now, on GAfutures.org, we have a scholarship search, but here's some tips. Basically, always look early, apply more than one time, narrow down the search, as they say, be creative. Look into your family history, hobbies, or college major to narrow down the search. Look for scholarships even beyond high school because you still got to pay for that sophomore, junior, senior year. And do not pay anyone to apply or look for scholarships. This should only cost you time and effort. Let's talk about the federal aid programs. Who's eligible for federal aid? A U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, be a high school graduate or GED, but I want you to take a look at these last two. Be registered for selective service if required. If you're a male 18 to 26, you need to register for selective service. You can do it on the FAFSA. At the click of a button, you're one and done. Or maintain satisfactory academic progress. What does that mean? When you're enrolled in college, you got to pass a percentage of your classes. You can't take an average of 5 classes, drop 4, pass 1, and take 10 years to get your degree. You got to pass a certain percentage, otherwise you can lose your federal aid. So be aware of that while you're in college. The federal aid programs are based on the expected family contribution of the FAFSA, information you put on the free application for federal student aid. The first one is the Pell Grant. It's at $6,345. If you're Pell eligible, you'll qualify for other grants, such as the FSA grant, the Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant. It's up to the financial aid office to determine how much they will award you. They're given certain amounts. It can be as little as $100 up to $4,000. And again, you don't pay these back. Then it's going to ask you on the FAFSA, do you want to apply for work study? Say yes. Keep this in mind. If you're paid through federal funding, It's like receiving grant money. It's a job on campus, but it's not reported income. So do keep that in mind. Let's talk about loans. If you got to go the loan route, your federal government loans, your subsidized, unsubsidized, Parent Plus loans are probably the best way to go. Let's explore these further. Your subsidized loan, what does that mean? The federal government will cover the interest on that loan while you're in college. You don't start paying it back till 6 months from the time you graduate, 4 years down the road. If you quit school, it's 6 months from the time you quit school. The current interest rate is at 2.75%. Then you have the unsubsidized loan. The interest does accrue. You're responsible for paying this, the interest. It's at 2.75%, but understand, you'll start making payments 6 months from the time you graduate, 4 years down the road, like these subsidized, or 6 months from the time you graduate. Both these loans can be forgiven. If you work for a nonprofit, a special area in education, or in the medical field. So keep these in mind. And then parents, let's pull you into the game. The Parent Plus loan. When all's said and done, the parent can apply for a Parent Plus loan. They do a check on one parent's credit record, and it's at an interest rate of 5.30%. When do you start making that payment back, parent? They start school in August, you start paying in October. Now, notice what I said earlier. This is a chart. Notice on the left-hand side, it says initial loan amount for dependent students whose parents are eligible for the Plus loan. Look at the second one. Parents were denied the Plus loan because they probably didn't have a good credit rating. What do you do in a case like this? Well, notice the base is your subsidized. You can get up to $3,500 your freshman year, $2,000 standard for your unsubsidized, so you can borrow up to $5,500. Since parents may not be able to qualify for the Parent Plus loan, the student can go back and increase the $2,000 unsubsidized to $6,000. So you're going to go from $5,500 to $9,500. So this is just a backup choice. Please understand that. Now let's look at Georgia's Hope Scholarship programs. It's all tied to the lottery. It does my heart good every time I stop into a gas station or a convenience store and I see people standing in line buying a lottery ticket. That means the Hope Scholarship will be around. It's been around since 1993. Let's explore them even further. What is the general eligibility requirements? Like federal, you have to be a legal Georgia resident. And again, students must, males must register with Selective Service 18 to 26. And these are your general requirements to be eligible for the Hope Scholarship Program. These are the participating colleges in Georgia that work with the Hope Scholarship Program. We have your public state colleges, your private colleges, and your state technical colleges. You can find this list on the website GAfutures.org. Let's take a look at Hope Scholarship. What are the requirements? A 3.0 in all core classes, 9th through 12th grade, math, science, English, social studies, and foreign language. You also need to get 4 academically rigor course credits. You got 9th through 12th grade to complete it. Notice that little sentence I skipped over. After high school graduation may also be earned in college. If you don't get Hope Scholarship coming out of high school, let's say instead of a 3.0, you got a 2.9. In your freshman year of college, if you maintain a B average at the end of 30 college credit hours, you can qualify for Hope in your sophomore year. So there's Hope after high school. How about those academically rigor courses? These are listed also on GAfutures.org. It can be, again, it could be IB classes, it can be dual enrollment, it could be AP classes, advanced math like trigonometry, or science like physics, just to name a few, and foreign language. You can check your Hope GPA on GAfutures.org on your Hope GPA. This starts from the time you're in the 9th grade all the way to the 12th. Get on your My Hope profile And as you notice in the circle, it shows your Hope GPA. You can start checking as early as the 10th grade. Now, you got Hope Scholarship coming out of high school. What do you have to do to maintain it? You got to have a 3.0 at the end of 30, 60, 90 hours, every 30 college credit hours. You got Hope coming out of high school. What if you have a 2.9 at the end of your freshman year? You lose it for your sophomore year, pull it back to a B. You'll get it back your junior year, but understand you can only lose Hope and gain it back one time. What if you work a little bit harder? Zell Miller Scholarship. What are the requirements? The 4 academic rigor requirements. Also, you're either the valedictorian or designated salutatorian of your class, or you have a 3.7 GPA in all core classes 9th through 12th grade with a 1200 on the SAT, or a 3.7 GPA and a 26 on the ACT. Now, let me stop here and simply say this. When you apply for Zell Miller, we need a copy of your SAT or ACT scores. We are listed on the College Board as Georgia Student Finance Authority. So as you go on the College Board and send a copy of your test scores to different colleges, send us a copy too, either through College Board or through ACT. Now, what do you have to do to maintain Zell Miller? As with Hope, it's a 3.0 every 30 college credit hours. With Zell Miller, it's a 3.3 every 30, 60, 90 hours. And the difference also is, even though there's Hope after high school, with Zell Miller, you have to qualify while you're in high school. Otherwise, there's no Zell Miller after high school. But suppose you get it. You have a 3.2 at the end of your freshman year, 30 college credit hours. What will happen in that sophomore year? You'll lose the Zell Miller scholarship, but you'll still have Hope because it's in that 3.0 range. Pull it back to a 3.3, you'll get it back in your junior year. So how do you lose the eligibility for both the Hope scholarship and the Zell Miller scholarship? Well, of course, not maintaining your Hope and Zell Miller GPAs, reaching a maximum of 127 attempted hours, paid hours. That's all Hope's going to pay for. It's up to 127. Under the old quarter system, 190. Failing to use funds within 10 years from the time you graduate high school, you've got 10 years to take advantage of the Hope Scholarship Program, otherwise it expires. And the only exception is that if you join the military, it will prolong. And finally, you have completed your first bachelor's degree. How about state technical colleges? We have the Hope Grant. Check this out. You enroll in a certificate or diploma program for the Hope Grant. High school diploma, GED not required, no GPA or test scores considered. But when you are enrolled in these programs, you have to maintain a 2.0 at a 30 and 60 hour checkpoint. Hope Grant will pay up to 63 semester hours in the state technical schools. What if you work a little bit harder? What if you maintain a 3.5 at the end of that semester? Zell Miller Grant will take the place of Hope Grant. And they check it, and again, the maximum, like Hope Grant, is 63 paid hours. It gets better. What if you go into a designated field in the state technical schools? Take a look at the top one, movie production and set design. What's going on in Georgia? TV series, The Walking Dead. There are 3 movie studios that I believe are located, new jobs, carpentry, makeup, cosmetology, just to name a few. If you select one of these fields, they will also give you an extra incentive on top of the Hope Grant and Zell Miller Grant. So, Mr. Wilkerson, you talk about the requirements, but show me the money. What do I get for my hard work for these programs? Okay. The Hope Scholarship will cover a portion of your tuition with that 3.0 GPA. Zell Miller with the SAT requirements and the 3.7 will cover full standard tuition at all state schools. Private colleges is $2,152 per semester. Zell Miller is $2,808 per semester. The state technical schools, Hope Grant will cover a portion of your tuition. Zell Miller Grant, every semester you maintain at 3.5, will cover full standard tuition. What about that Hope Career Grant? It depends on the number of hours that you sign into. It can be as little as $125 up to $1,000, like commercial truck driving. So there's money on top of money. Let's add one more loan. In the state of Georgia, if you go to an institution, you can also apply for the student access loan. It fills in what's left over. Let's say you have exhausted, you have to fill out the FAFSA, you have exhausted every avenue, you need a couple of hundred more, 1,000, you can apply for the student access loan. It's at 1% interest, and you'll pay $10 a month just to keep in touch. So this is a backup loan. How do you apply for all these state programs? There are two ways. You fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid every year, or students, you can go into GAfutures.org, click on the Hope and State Aid Grant, click on the state aid applications, go to the very top where it says GSF apps. This is our online application for Hope Scholarship, Zell Miller Scholarship, Hope Grant, Zell Miller Grant, Hope Career Grant. Now, I say this out of love and respect. Students, you fill this out. Helicopter parents, leave this alone. Let Junior fill this out, because you'll get involved and think you're going back to school and you'll put in your social security number. So this only takes 20 minutes. When can you apply? You can apply the first day of your senior year. And if you haven't, apply today. Let's talk about completing the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. This is the first step in your financial aid search. The application is free. When does it open up? October the 1st. You've got the full academic year to fill this out, but be sure to check with the financial aid offices, their deadline. And create yourself what they call a FSA ID. You need, one parent needs one per household, and every student who's enrolled in college or technical college needs a FSA ID. If you need help filling out the FAFSA, check with your guidance counselor. We'll have FAFSA events across the state of Georgia, or check on GAfutures.org for an event near you. So when you're completing the FAFSA, you go to FAFSA.gov. Where do you begin? Due to the FAFSA process, start here. Now you're going to ask, if you're enrolled as a senior, what year do you want to fill this out on? You want to fill it out for the 21-22 school year based on 2019 income tax. How about the 2021 school year? Well, that's going on right now. Unless you're planning on graduating in the fall and you're going to enroll either in the spring or summer, then you would fill out that FAFSA for 2018 income tax. Then you would fill out another one for the following year. What's needed to complete the FAFSA? Your income tax returns, basically called the 1040, your W-2s and other records or money earned. Again, bank statements and investments, if applicable, records of untaxed income, and a FSA ID. Steps, how do you create the FSA ID? You can go to FAFSA.gov and click on create the FSA ID, or go to, I believe it's FSAID.ed.gov, click it on there. It'll ask you some demographic information. You'll answer some questions, confirm it with your cell phone, an address, and accept the terms. FSA ID tips. Here's what I basically recommend. Do not share this with anyone. Do not lose it. You'll need it each year to sign into the FAFSA and to submit an electronic signature. And again, one parent per household, and for how many students you have, let's say you have 3 enrolled in college, they will need one. You all will need separate email addresses on this. So when you go into the FAFSA, you can select up to 10 colleges to submit on the FAFSA. You're giving them permission to receive your tax information. Dependency status. How do I have to be when I don't need my parents' tax information? In the eyes of the federal government, it's 24. You'll need your parents' tax information up to age 23, unless you can answer these questions. If you can say yes to any of these questions, these are the exceptions that the federal government will allow before age 24. But if you do say yes, Be prepared to provide documentation. Who's my parent? Who fills out the FAFSA? Natural parents and step parents. What if my parents are divorced? Mama claims me on my taxes, or let's say daddy claims me on my taxes, but I live with mama. So who do I use? It would be mama. It's the parent who provides the most physical support. What if I don't like my parents? Can I use my grandparents' tax information? They would have to adopt you. So keep that in mind, natural parents and step parents in that immediate household. Now, this is called the IRS data retrieval. This is where parents will need their FSA ID. This will take you, it will ask you if you want to go to the IRS data retrieval. You click yes, and then it will take you to the IRS and it will pre-fill your tax information from 2019. Then you get to the point where you'll sign and submit. The student will sign and submit, the parent will sign and submit. Now, what if there's a situation where you have undocumented parents? For Social Security numbers, they will use zeros. What if they don't have an FSA ID? Notice the second option here. It says print a signature page. Students, you go ahead and use your FSA ID to electronically assign yours, but the parents can print a signature page, date it, sign it, and mail it off to the address, which is in London, Kentucky. Okay, now you have a confirmation page. As soon as you submit it, it will tell you, congratulations, you have completed the FAFSA. It will tell you right away what your expected family contribution number is if you're Pell eligible, and if you qualify for subsidized and unsubsidized loans. 3 to 5 days later, you're going to get what they call a student aid report. This will tell you if you qualify for what federal aid you qualify based on the information you submitted on the FAFSA. Now, you keep talking about what is the EFC, the expected family contribution. This is family income, family size, age of the parents, and how many students enrolled in college. Daddy makes $60,000, mama makes $60,000. $120,000 is a lot of money. What if you have 5 kids? That $120,000 don't go very far. Size of the family, age of the parents. Mama, you're 65. You had your son late in life. He's 18. You're going to get Social Security. There's going to be a drop in your income. Age of the parents. What if you got triplets? 2 are out of state, 1's in state. That out of state tuition can add up. So this is what they determines federal aid, like the Pell Grant, the expected family contribution. Now, there's some things you cannot report on the FAFSA that reflects your current situation. Special circumstances. Suppose 2020 does not reflect 2019 income. You had a job in 2019, but due to this pandemic, you got laid off on your job. What can you do? Talk to the financial aid office. Let them know of your circumstance. They will determine what documentations they need to adjust the expected family contribution. So when in doubt, talk to the financial aid office. Now you have submitted the FAFSA. Now you're looking for your award letter, comparing financial aid packages. You can list up, again, institutions on the FAFSA up to 10, complete verification process if selected. You definitely have to apply for admission at these schools, and in some cases be accepted. So you get your award letters. What will it comprise of? It will basically say, this is what it's going to cost you to attend that institution for the academic year. This is what the institution is giving you. In the case of Georgia, state aid, and also include federal aid. And the amount the family is expected to pay, and then it's got other resources that may include like institutional scholarships. Let's say you apply to 5 different colleges and you list them on the FAFSA. Compare award letters side by side. This can help you make a decision in terms of what you can afford and what you cannot afford. That's why you fill out the FAFSA each year. Your situation may change. Now we have some additional resources. We have, again, GAfutures.org, GSFC.org, which is the Georgia Student Finance Commission, FAFSA.gov, studentaid.gov. These are great resources for college loans and different questions you have on the FAFSA or state aid. As I said earlier, My name is Hal Wilkinson. I'm a K-12 outreach staff. I'm one of 9 who cover the state of Georgia. I'm in the purple. I cover Northeast Georgia. I know we've covered a lot of material, but we come out to your schools, and again, we do financial aid presentations, and we also help assist with the FAFSA. So please reach out to your representative. And as always, as a friendly reminder, be social with GSFC. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Thank you for your time. And now if we'll go back to take any questions. Thank you.
Hal, you got a couple of questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
One is, how does a student know if they are HOPE eligible, and how do they calculate their HOPE eligible GPA?
Good question. Have an account with GAfutures.org. In your student profile, we start counting, like I said, beginning from, you can start as early as 10th grade to start checking your HOPE GPA. The transcripts are downloaded in the senior year from your freshman year all the way up to the fall semester for the first time in February. We do a overall core GPA calculation, and then we take your final calculation when you graduate, usually by June the 30th. But keep tracking your HOPE GPA so you'll have an idea beforehand.
Awesome. The next question is from a student who lives in a military family. Her father's stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, but she was born in Georgia and lived here her whole life. And her mother's a resident of Georgia for 19 years. If my father files taxes and I am his dependent, but I live with my mom, who do I put down on my FAFSA?
Now, are they, again, and I don't know your situation. If you live with your mother here in Georgia, a parent has to live here in Georgia. It's where the parent lives, basically. So you should be, if you live in Georgia, you go to a high school in the state, you should be okay.
So she should put her mom down. Yes, because she lives here in Georgia. Right. Here's a question. Can you receive the HOPE and Zell scholarship at the same time?
No, you can only receive one or the other.
I have a question, or a student who's asking about the National Merit Scholarship.
Okay. What I would do is I would check with your guidance counselor on that one, or go under the national. We have a link also with GAfutures for the on the I think the PSAT for National Merit Scholarship.
Does the HOPE scholarship cross state lines at all?
No, it's only within the state of Georgia.
Okay, got to stay in Georgia for that HOPE. And then the last question we have in the chat, well, there's more coming. So this one is, I submitted my FAFSA signatures by mail, both student and parent. Will my report be delayed?
It may be, it just depends. And what I would do is I would save a copy of that. And that's a good question. If you did the signature page, make a copy of it. So if there is a delay, you can call the number 1-800-4, then FED, FED, 8AID to check the status of your FAFSA. That's the Central Processing Center.
There's a question here. Can you get a scholarship for being short?
Yes, it's called LPA.com, littlepeopleofamerica.com. I believe it's either 4'10" or 4'11". You may have to have traces of dwarfism, but definitely check into it. I believe, again, between $250 to $750.
Nice. What's the key difference between the HOPE and the Miller Scholarship?
HOPE Scholarship is just based on a GPA of a 3.0 in all core classes. Zell Miller has a SAT and ACT component with it, with a grade point average of a 3.7, or again, being the valedictorian or salutatorian of your class.
And like the Hope question before, does the Zell Miller cross state lines?
No.
Sorry, got to stay here. This is kind of a general question. What is a presidential scholarship and what are the requirements?
I would check with the colleges that award that. I know it's quite substantial.
Yep, I think that one's going to depend school to school. So reach out to those places where you're applying.
Correct.
Mom and dad are divorcing. Dad lives in Florida and will be responsible for financing the college. Does dad need to live in Georgia?
Now, if mama lives in, again, when you fill out the FAFSA, it's a divorce situation. Let's say it depends on the parent that the day you fill out the FAFSA, who provides the most physical support? Do you live with your mother, even though your father lives in Florida and he may claim you on your taxes? It would be the mother. It would be the parent that provides the most physical support.
Fantastic. So again, there's been a couple of questions, but I'll just reiterate it. It's really the household in which the student lives is the household for which you use that information on the FAFSA. So think of it that way. Where do you put your head on the pillow every night? That's probably where you need to have that FAFSA information.
And keep this in mind: if mama remarries, you got a stepdad, it's going to be your mother and stepdad. That immediate household is what they're going to look at. You're right.
Yep. So here's a student who moved to Georgia her junior year and will graduate from a Georgia school. How will they calculate her GPA from previous schools?
They're going to look at what transfers in from the Georgia Student Finance Commission. We're going to take everything you've done from 9th to 12th grade. We're going to look at your math, your science, your English, your social studies, and foreign language. And some schools does a weighted scale. We do an unweighted scale. That's simply because not all school systems across the state of Georgia provide the same equal point system. So if you made an 85 and let's say one school system gives you 10 points, now you've got an A on a 4.0 scale, we're going to strip it and bring it back to a B average.
Excellent. This is a wonderful question. How can a student determine if a scholarship is reliable? So if they're looking at private scholarships.
If it demands a credit card pop-up, do not pay for that, because you don't know if it's a scam or not. I had 39 families got taken in on a college meeting at a free public meeting in a library. And basically they got taken for $2,400 a piece. It's information like this. Do your research, but if it requires to pay an upfront cost, don't.
Absolutely. Another question about GPA. Do electives count towards the weighted GPA?
No, not for Hope. It's just the your core classes.
Do you have here's another question. Do you have a scholarship search site that you particularly like?
Oh, listen, those that are free. I recommend GAfutures.org. I recommend fastweb.com, unigo.com. That has 250-word essays or less. How you survive the zombie apocalypse attack at your high school, $2,000. Or the Infinity Wars, a superpower for a day. You're Wonder Woman for a day. What would you do with that power? $2,500. So unigo.com. I think it's also one called Go Mary. Mm-hmm. Also, listen, check with your guidance counselor's office or the college career center of your high school. That's where you narrow down the search, and that's where scholarships that are intended for you as that student. And you'll be surprised how much money is left on the table that students don't apply for. Also, check with the college website, the financial aid website or admissions website, and see what their deadlines are for their scholarships. So high school, college website, and also GAfutures.org. And again, FastWeb websites that's been around for years.
Excellent. And then we have a student who submitted the CSS profile on the College Board website. Can you explain a little bit more about what the CSS profile would do?
This is performed by especially Ivy League schools in Georgia. I believe it's and if I'm wrong, please out there in college land, correct me. Emory and Georgia Tech, these colleges, they have institutional money, but they take, it's a closer look than what FAFSA, at your family finances than what FAFSA does. So they want to make sure that they're stretching as much as their endowment money as they can to give toward your college expenses.
Excellent. And our last question here in the Q&A, do you have an email that students can contact you about, that students can contact you through with questions they may have?
You sure can. And I left it on the last page, but I'll go ahead and give it to you, and I'll give you my work cell phone number too. My name is Hal Wilkinson, and the email address is halw@gsfc.org, halw@gsfc.org. That's Georgia Student Finance Commission. My work cell number is 678-495-8965. And also you can find a list of us on GAfutures. And please, by all means, if you have a question, reach out to us.
Excellent. Well, I have no more questions in the Q&A. We do have a few moments left. So if anybody has any final questions, this would be a good time to pop those in. But in the interim, Hal, do you have any last pieces of advice for these students and families?
Now, listen, I found you a lot of information, and I made us a lot to take in. But does this information work? As I was talking to my lovely host here, in 2004, I inherited 3 kids, 2 dogs, 3 cats, and a first grade teacher. I got married. My daughter went to a shorter college, $20,000 a year, $80,000. On an $80,000 education, we only took out $25,000 in loans for all 4 years. We applied locally. And also, I have a stepson who went to Georgia back when it was $12,000 a year in 2007. We paid $12,000. It was $12,000. We paid $2,400 out of pocket. November, he decides he wants to go to Berry College, which at the time was $13,000 per semester. He taught me a lesson. He says, I want to go to Berry. I said, you need to apply in the fall. That's when they set the scholarship budget. He says, let me talk to them. So I said, all right, you knock it down to what I paid out of pocket, I'll help you move. Last famous words, let me talk to them and I'll help you move. He talked to them. They looked at his transcripts. He got an $8,000 transfer scholarship in the spring of 2008. $13,000 goes down to $3,500. When all was said and done, we paid $744 out of pocket. Barry had enough endowment money that I had to help him move. So whether you're going in state or out of state, talk to them. You never know.
Awesome. Another question about the GPA. Are AP and honor courses, the ones that are weighted higher, you know, a half a point or a point added, are those points stripped?
I've got some good news for you. For up to a 3.0, because 4.0 is the highest value. If we'll add a 0.5 for all AP, IB, and dual enrollment classes. So if you made an 85 instead of a 3.0, we'll add a 3.5. Keep this in mind too. Hope is paid by the lottery. The college, and it covers up to 127 attempted hours. Any college credit that's accepted before high school graduation through these programs like AP, IB, and dual enrollment, they go toward your degree, but they do not go toward the 127 attempted hours. So what if you got 10 AP classes? That gives you 2 wonderful positions to be in. Graduate a year early, or you can take 10 more classes on Hope if you need some wiggle room and you went beyond the 127 hours. So congratulations either way.
Nice. And our last question tonight, obviously a lot of schools have gone online because of the pandemic. Do students still need to pay for room and board?
That's an institutional decision. I know I've got a niece that's at University of North Georgia. They're taking hybrid classes. It depends on the institution. And I would refer that to their business office. But some students are living on campus, but they may, you know, attend a class 2 to 3 days a week. So that's more of an institution and family decision.
Perfect. Well, Hal, thank you so much. I have just some housekeeping here to finish up. So y'all, thanks for joining us. When you click out of this, you will see a quick survey. So there's 4 very short questions. If you don't mind answering those for us, we would appreciate that so we can continually upgrade our programming. Again, Wednesday and Thursday nights, there will be sessions about specific colleges. Please go to GAprobe/students, sign up for those sessions and learn about those places that you might call home for the next 4 years. And as always, we are recording these sessions, so they will be available on that Georgia Probe website within a few days. So again, Hal, thank you for all of your information, for your time. Participants, thank you for joining us. Be well and stay safe.
Take care.